DMV Zone here in the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office says the last person seen with missing college student Sudiksha Konanki is no longer a person of interest. This follows an interview between the man and police who found him to be fully cooperative. The man claims he saved Konanki from a current back on March 6th in Punta Cana, but Konanki later vanished. Her parents believe that she drowned, and right now that man, Riibe, remains in the Dominican Republic but is not detained. Unclear when he will be returning to the U.S. Joining us again for a follow-up today is international law professor Melina Stereo. Thank you for being with us again. What's the latest as it relates to this once person of interest, no longer the last person to have been seen with Sudiksha?
Well, there was a court hearing in the Dominican Republic yesterday on Tuesday, and at that court hearing, the judge in the Dominican Republic determined that Joshua Riibe is no longer a suspect. However, what's a little bit tricky is that Joshua Riibe's passport has not been returned to him. In other words, the Dominican authorities still have Joshua Riibe's passport. And so as of now, from everything we know, he is allowed to move about freely within the Dominican Republic, but he still does not have his passport back, and because of that, cannot travel back to the United States. We know that there is apparently another hearing in the Dominican Republic scheduled on March 28th. And if I were Joshua Riibe and his attorneys, I would be very much hoping that it's after that hearing on March 28th that his passport will actually be returned.
Melina, as we hear that, unfortunately, I lost some of the signal there as I was listening to what you were saying about this. But again, that passport is crucial for him to return back to the United States. It has not been returned, even though he's no longer a person of interest. So it seems as though maybe a technicality, it'll be a second or two before he's allowed to leave. But eventually, you do believe that he will be able to return back to the United States?
I do believe that unless something extraordinary happens between now and March 28th, when the second hearing is scheduled, I do believe that after that hearing on March 28th, that the Dominican authorities will return his passport and he will be able to safely return to the United States.
And I'm sorry because I missed that. We had a little bit of an issue there with the communication, but is this a technicality that we have to wait now to the 28th? He's a free man. Why can't he just get his passport?
It is actually very unclear as to what's going on, even though the judge at the hearing yesterday said that he's no longer a person of interest. The Dominican Republic's authorities have been unclear as to who actually has his passport and as to why his passport is not being returned to him. So we actually don't know why the passport is not being returned, but I think we can all hope that after the March 28th hearing, he will have his passport and he will be able to return.
Okay, assuming he is a U.S. citizen here, does the embassy step in? Can the Americans do anything to force the situation here? Because if you're a free man, someone's holding onto your passport, are you being held hostage by the Dominican Republic at this point?
Yes, I would say that it is now absolutely a political and a diplomatic issue, and that this is very much the type of situation where if you are an American citizen located abroad and your passport has been taken away and you don't really know why, this is precisely when you should be contacting the embassy or the consulate, and this is precisely the type of situation when the embassy would get involved and put pressure on the Dominican authorities to release the passport, to return the passport back to Joshua Riibe so that he can travel back, because as you said, he is no longer a person of interest, no longer a suspect.
All right, we'll wait and see what happens there. That's about a week away, so still some time, and I imagine he's got to pay for it to stay there, and already has been something, a traumatic experience. Even the family of Sudiksha saying they don't believe he had anything to do with this. So, Melina, we'll wait and see. We appreciate your insight here on the latest there from the Dominican Republic.